behaviors occur, the chair at her sole discretion may terminate the hearing and reschedule it for another date. In addition, the chair at her discretion will limit repetitious comments, though it is entirely appropriate for an individual to indicate that he or she agrees with the previous speaker. Prior to closing the public hearing, the chair will ask if there are any new comments. Then the applicant will be allowed to make a single rebuttal in response to the testimony which was provided. Once the public hearing portion of the meeting is closed, the chair will accept no additional public comment. However, a member of the board at the chair's discretion may ask the applicant or a member of the public to respond to a question. This will not reopen public comment. Planning board decisions are based solely on whether an applicant has provided sufficient evidence to meet the requirements of local, state, and federal laws. In this regard, public testimony is most effective when it considers the impacts of a project in light of Sanford subdivision, site plan, shoreland, or zoning ordinances, and other relevant regulations. After the board votes on the merits of each project, it will vote on written findings of fact. Since the findings may substantially affect any appeals rights, and also as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting not leave until the board has adopted the findings for the project you are interested in. After the planning board makes its final decision, any reconsideration by the board must be made at the next regularly scheduled meeting. If anyone wishes to appeal the board's final decision, he or she must do so within 30 days. The city's ordinances and comprehensive plan are available for viewing on the city's website and in the Planning and Development Department office at 919 Main Street. And with that, I believe we would now need a roll call, please.
Jace?
Present.
Diane?
Present.
Lenny?
Present.
Jack?
Present.
Tom? Tom, are you able to unmute yourself?
Here.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Here.
Madam Chair, that's 6-0. Crystal is absent this evening with notice.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like we have a quorum. So we will move to the minutes for October 7th. And I believe tonight we would only have 5 members voting on those minutes, with myself not in attendance and Crystal absent this evening. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept, Jack.
Seconded, Diane.
And a roll call vote, please?
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with the abstention of Jennifer.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, first item of business, new business file R3-29C, Sebago Technics, care of Craig Burgess. Before I ask the applicant to provide an overview of their project, Beth, would you mind orientating the board to this agenda item, please?
Absolutely. The applicant is requesting approval for a minor subdivision, a minor site plan, and a shoreland zoning permit to create 5 lots that will be used for eco camps for personal use and part-time rental, proposed to be serviced by private water and sewage disposal on a 13.6 acre property owned by Bryce Avalon and located at 196 Elm Street. The site plan review committee did review this application yesterday and unanimously recommended approval of the application with a series of conditions.
Okay, thank you. And now I will ask the applicant if they would please state the name and address. And you do have 20 minutes to provide a description of the project.
Hey, Molly, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, Peter.
Yes, we can hear you.
So Craig's not with us tonight again, so it's myself, and then if there's any questions or anything, also Joe Stanley, who's our surveyor too. So Beth pretty much covered it pretty good. I'm Peter Valcourt, one of the owners of this piece of land that's located at 196 Elm Street in Springdale. Right now it's approximately a 14-acre piece of land. That's roughly a rectangle between Elm Street and Littlefield Pond. We're trying to divide it into 5 separate lots so that we can have 5 eco-friendly cabins there. And by eco-friendly, we're trying to focus on minimal impact to the environment. So keeping as many large trees as possible. The structures we're building are roughly around 500 square feet, so very small. They're unique in a way that most of them are going to be tree houses, so not a lot of runoff. We're trying not to clear very many trees as far as parking and lawns go. We're using concrete chambers for our leach field so that we can also park on them so that we don't have to clear more land. Yeah, I don't think I need 20 minutes to sum it up, but Beth did a pretty good job.
So Peter or Joe, would you please post a copy of your plan to the screen so that both the planning board and the public can see the proposal?
I will try to do so. I'm sorry, I haven't done very many of these meetings. Do I have to click on share screen somewhere? I'm looking for it on the...
Yeah, if you hover over the bottom console, a bar will show up and there should be a green button that says share screen.
Okay,
If you click on that, you'll see a series of windows that are on your desktop and just select the one.
Oh, there we see it.
All right, sorry, I'm not. So there's roughly, or that is the layout. So starting in the southern piece of the land down here, we actually already have this structure built, which is a tree house, and then our parking area. So this is already completed. We're already using it. We've already rented it. So, I mean, we've had feedback and we discussed in a couple other meetings. I think some people asked some questions about campfires and how we're trying to control that. And the answer was, we have a very small fire pit. We have a cover. We have a hose that's located within 20 feet of it. We actually supply our own firewood so we can kind of control the size of the firewood and make sure that people aren't going on the land and trying to cut things. We also have a list of rules. So when we are renting it, everybody does have to sign it when they rent the space. And some of the rules are no cutting anything between the structure and the water. Well, no cutting anything. There's no dogs allowed, because somebody also had a question about keeping people out of the wetlands, which usually the only reason to be in there is maybe to go after an animal. We even have rules in regards to only using like natural sunscreen. So we're trying to keep the pond pristine, which I know is a town concern, but it's also a concern for us too. So we want to keep it as clean as possible. Yeah, so I think that's about it.
Okay, great. So I'll actually open the hearing is now open to the public. And so I will first remind everybody you can use the Zoom feature to raise your hand in case you're muted. And each person will have up to 5 minutes to speak. And I will first open it up and ask if there are any, is anyone out there in favor of this project who would like to speak? Please use your raise hand feature if you need to. I'm not seeing any hands raised, and I'm not hearing anyone on the line. So I will now ask if there is any opponents to the project who would like to speak. And again, please use your raise hand feature if you need to. Okay, I'm still not hearing or seeing anyone. So now I'll ask if there's anyone who's neither for nor against the project but would like to make a comment. Okay, no one there. So I will go ahead and close the public hearing.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I was muted so badly. I'm in favor
I had that
of
problem
this.
earlier.
I'm sorry?
I said I had
I'm
the
sorry?
same problem earlier. I know your pain. I had the same problem. Yep.
Right. I'm also in a car, so that doesn't help either. I'm in favor of the project, but I had some questions about how the HVAC or the heating air conditioning is set up. What is the energy supply that you're offering inside the I guess the structures?
We are.
Okay. So.
Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, we've noted your question, and I'm wondering if would it be more appropriate to close the public hearing and address the question in the discussion following?
I think maybe get all of his questions on the table, and then you can turn to the applicant and have him respond. I would point out, however, he needs to state his name and address.
Yes, thank you for that reminder, Beth.
Thank you.
Do we lose our speaker?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, great. So if you wouldn't please mind stating your name and address, and then if there are other questions, so we can get those all on the table, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure, that'd be fine. My name is Joe Kitko, and I am at 550 Main Street in Springville. And again, my question was, what energy is being used inside the structures for heat and air conditioning?
Okay, and that's your only question?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Just wanted to be sure. So I'll let the applicant go ahead and answer that then, please.
We're using a couple different items. It's all electric, so we didn't want to put any fireplaces or wood stoves because we didn't really, to be honest, trust renters to come in and deal with wood in our structures. And we really didn't want to play around with gas. So we actually have, the structure that we already have is an electric heat pump. And that is a hot water system that does radiant floor heat. And in the next ones, it's probably just going to be simple electric heat pumps in the rest of them. So low energy systems. And then on a different piece of land, we're actually installing a 200 panel solar array to create the amount of electricity that we're going to be consuming on the land. So everything, even our grills are electric. So everything's set up to be electric, and then we're set up to create as much energy as we're going to use in the project. So I think that answers your question. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, are there any other members of the public? I'm sorry? I think I heard somebody trying to speak there, but it was kind of breaking up a little bit for me. Okay, are there any other members of the public who would like to speak either for or against, or neither for or against for the project before I close the public hearing? Okay, I will declare the public hearing closed and then open it up to the board for discussion. Am I still connected?
Hey,
Yeah, you are, Jennifer.
Okay, just making sure.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead, Diane, yes.
Sorry about that. At previous analysis meeting, a question was brought up about snow removal, and the applicant had said something about gravel going down, and I was just wondering if he could clarify with the snow removal with salt, so on and so forth, how they're not going to dig up the roadway into the structures.
Dig them up. I guess. So I'm hoping it's all going to be gravel road. So I'm hoping with them being gravel, we'll probably have a little less need for salt, just because when they do plow, it's probably going to scrape down to the gravel a little bit. Our plan is to use minimal amount of salt, and anything we do use is probably going to be a mixture of sand and salt. I know I'm a property manager in Portland as well, so most of the time we use sand. But we'll probably use a mixture of sand and salt if it gets bad. I know we did go through part of last winter, and I think I only needed to sand twice for this one tree house. So we don't plan on like going in with heavy trucks and just sand the heck out of the place by any means.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there other topics that other board members would like to either ask the applicant or have a discussion amongst ourselves about? Are we ready to move to findings of fact?
Madam Chair, beforehand, if I could just make one observation. This is Beth Della Valley. Just a heads up, Peter, that if you are proposing that solar facility, you should check with code enforcement regarding permits that are required in order to do that. You may actually have to have site plan review for it. I will need to have more details before I can give you direction on that.
Okay. Yeah, we actually already purchased a piece of land. It's way up in Plymouth, Maine, just before Bangor.
Oh, so it's not in Sanford.
Yeah, it won't be in Sanford. Land was too expensive there. So
yeah, so that takes care of my concern. No, you don't need a permit from Sanford to be putting solar panels up near Bangor.
right.
Okay. All righty. So the findings. Give me just a second while I get the right file in front of me. Okay. And I'm going to apologize. I'm going to try to get as many of these combinations as possible so that you only have to vote a certain number of times. It's going to be a little bit dicey here, guys. I only realized late in the day that we didn't have those laid out really well. So I'm going to actually ask other people who are very detail oriented to make sure that I don't drop any of these as we're going through the reviews. And I am going to have them cross the different chapters of the code rather than keep them separate, because I think that will help us reduce the number of votes as well. So the first category are the not applicable. 270-15D parentheses G. 275-10-43, 275-10-46, 275-10-48, 280-16-7.13, 280-16-7.15, and 280-16-7.19. None of these particular standards are applicable, and so I think you can actually make a motion to vote on those as a single vote.
This is Tom. Motion to accept.
I'll second that.
Okay, so that was a motion by Tom and a second by Jack?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like me to do a roll call, Madam Chair?
Please.
Okay. Jace?
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Jennifer.
Yes.
That's unanimous, 6-0. The motion passes. The next one, and I'm going back and forth here, guys, so please bear with me. This is normally, actually, you know what, I'm going to create another screen. Give me a second. While I do this, it may make things go a little bit faster. Okay, so let me see if I can do this now a little bit easier. Alrighty, let me get to the top of the screen. Alrighty, so I think the next category is going to be the use of the site and natural features. And the first one is 280-16-7.1. Give me a second, I'm trying to get caught up here again. These documents. And its utilization of the site, the recommendation is that the standard is met with condition, and the explanation is that with the condition that a note be added to the deed restriction on the recorded subdivision plat to include the presence of the proposed forested buffers and proposed deed restrictions for them, and that any future development on the site beyond what is currently proposed shall be approved by the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. The standard is met. That's the first one. The second one is 280-16-7.11, which is natural features. And again, the recommendation is that the standard is met with condition, and the explanation is with the condition that no construction around the significant vernal pool occurs between April 1st and June 30th. The standard is met. And then the third category is 275-10-38, or the third standard, I meant. Let's see, 38. And that is the subdivision standard associated with impact on aesthetics, open spaces, historic areas, wildlife habitat, and shoreland areas. And again, the recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. And the explanation is that with the condition that deed restrictions of the recorded subdivision plat include the presence of the proposed forested buffers and proposed deed restrictions for them, the standard is met. Alrighty, so I guess I am, is there any question, any discussion? If not, a motion?
Motion to accept, Tom.
And then who was the second voice?
Second it, Diane.
Diane. Okay.
And a roll call?
Roll call. Okay, Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is around water supply. And again, hold on, please. I've got to get back up to the top of this file again. That was 280, so we're going to get up there. Where is it? I'm sorry, I'm going in the wrong direction. So the first one is 280-16-7.8. All right, so I'm almost there, guys. Hold on. Sorry about this. And that is the water supply. So the recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that adequate provisions shall be made for water supply. The second category, or the second standard, is 275-10-32. Sufficient water. Again, the recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is that the proposed project has sufficient provisions for water supply.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
And a roll call?
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next category is groundwater. The first standard is 280-16-7.12. Again, the standard is associated with groundwater. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition, and the explanation is that with the condition that the project retain the required 200-foot setback from Littlefield Pond, the standard is met. The second category, the second standard is 275-10-42. I'm almost there. Hold on, please. That's the standard is impact on groundwater quality or quantity. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the project retain the required 200-foot setback from Littlefield Pond, the standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jace.
Second, Jennifer.
Madam Chair, you get to make the decision who gets the second on that one.
I'll let Jace have it. That's fine.
Okay, great. Are you ready for a vote, or is there a discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. We'll do a roll call, please.
Okay, Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
The next one is erosion control, and it starts with 270-15V parentheses B. And hold on, I'm trying to get there. D, B. Okay. The standard is will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition, in addition to any specific erosion control measures required by the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, the applicant shall take all necessary actions to ensure that its activities and that of its agents do not result in noticeable erosion of soils or dust emissions during construction. The standard is met. Oh, shoot. Hold on just a second. I just lost it. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so the second one is 280-16-7.7. And the standard is erosion control. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. I think virtually identical explanation, with the condition that in addition to any specific erosion control measures required by the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, the applicant shall take all necessary actions to ensure that its activities or those of its agents do not result in noticeable erosion of soils or dust emissions during construction. The standard is met. The third one is 275-10-34. Oops, went too far. The standard is again soil erosion. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. Explanation again virtually identical, with the condition that in addition to any specific erosion control measures required by the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, the applicant shall take all necessary actions to ensure that its activities or those of its agents do not result in noticeable erosion of soils or dust emissions during construction. The standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Diane.
And a roll call, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay. The next category is sanitary waste disposal, and the first one is 270-15D parentheses C. Hold on, I'm trying to get caught up with that. Where are we? And the standard is will adequately provide for the disposal of wastewater. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is the proposal provides for adequate disposal of wastewater. The second category, or the second standard, is 280-16-7.9. And the standard is sewage disposal. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is that adequate provisions shall be made for sewage disposal. And then the last standard is 275-10-36. The standard is again sewage disposal. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is that adequate provisions shall be made for sewage disposal.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
And a roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one are shoreland provisions, and so we're going to go up to 270-15DI. This standard is in conformance with the provisions of section 270-13 land use standards. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is the project conforms with the standards described by section 270-13. The next one is 280-16-7.16. And the title of that standard is shoreland relationship. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the applicant receive necessary shoreland permitting prior to construction, the standard is met. The third category, or the third standard, is 275-10-41. The standard is impacts on water quality and shoreline. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the removal of any vegetation shall be approved by the Code Enforcement Department prior to removal, the standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
And a roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is solid waste, and we're going to start with 280-16-7.14. Hold on, I'm getting there. The standard is called solid waste disposal. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is that adequate provision shall be made for solid waste disposal. The second category is 275-10-37. Again, entitled solid waste. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that adequate provision shall be made for solid waste disposal.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
And a roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is technical and financial capacity, and this is our last combination, and then we have to vote on everything else individually, and I'm sorry, there probably are a few more combinations, but I didn't get fully through this. The first one is 280-16-7.17. Hold on just one second. The title of the standard is technical and financial capacity. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is the applicant has demonstrated financial and technical capacity. All right. And then the next one is 275-10-40. Again, it's entitled Financial and Technical Capacity. The recommendation is that the standard is met. And the explanation is that the applicant has demonstrated financial and technical capacity to complete the proposed subdivision. The standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
And a roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 6-0. So now let's go back up to the top, and if anybody's been keeping track along with me, if I miss anything, please speak up. The first one is 270-15.D, parentheses A, will maintain safe and healthful conditions. The recommendation is the standard is met with condition. And the explanation is that with the condition that any removal of vegetation shall be approved by the Code Enforcement Department prior to removal, the standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
And a roll call.
Okay. Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. I think the next one is 270-15D, parentheses D. The standard is will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that no construction around the significant vernal pool occurs between April 1st and June 30th, the standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
A roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is 280 times, oh boy, hold on a second, I just lost my screen. 270-15V, parentheses, parentheses E. The standard is that will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is the project will retain the required 200-foot setback from Littlefield Pond.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second it, Diane.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is 280, I keep forgetting this. It's 270-15D, and it's parentheses F. will protect archaeologic and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the applicant places a conservation easement on areas within 50 feet. Hold on, I have to make a correction here. It says within 50 years. Within 50 feet of Littlefield Pond, the Maine Historic Preservation Commission finds that the proposed development will not have an adverse effect on preservation of any historic site, either on or near the development site, and the standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
A roll call, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. 270-15D parentheses H. The standard is will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is the project meets floodplain standards.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
A roll call, please. Oh, sorry.
Jace,
Jumping
Yes.
the gun there.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack, we lose you, Jack?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the power's been flickering here in Springvale, so we might have lost them.
Okay, so hold that thought.
Okay.
We'll go back to his name in a minute. Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jack, have you reconnected? Okay, let's call that a 5-0 vote, which is still unanimous. Okay, the next one. We've made it through the first category, guys. The next one is site plan review standards 280-16-7.2, access to the site. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the addition that the applicant will procure, it should say with the condition. Hold on just a second. I have to edit these things as we go along. With the condition that the applicant will procure a highway excavation permit from Public Works if construction will occur in the right-of-way. The standard will be met. Excuse me a second, I had to just add this more. Okay, Tom, I'm sorry.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
Then a roll call, please.
Okay, hold on, I'm trying to edit while I'm doing this. Jace,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes. Excuse me, Jack, have you come back on?
Yes.
Okay, that's going to be enough. Oh, good. Jack, you're on. All righty. Did you want to vote on the previous one? Which was...
Yes. I voted yes for that one, but apparently I wasn't connected somehow.
Okay, so we'll make sure we get that corrected. I have to find that one. Hold on a second. Give me just one moment if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so that is a 6-0 vote. All right, so now we're into the next site plan standard, which is 280-16-7.3, access into the site. The recommendation is that the standard is met with conditions. The explanation is that with the condition that roads shall be maintained so that fire apparatus can move safely year-round, including maintaining unobstructed overhead height and providing house addresses at the end of each driveway to the satisfaction of the fire marshal, the standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jace.
A roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is 280-16-7.4, internal vehicular circulation. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that shall provide for safe movement throughout the site and will provide clear routes for emergency vehicles with minimal damage to natural features present on the site.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Dan.
A roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is 280-16-7.5, pedestrian circulation. The recommendation is that the standard is met with the explanation that it shall provide for safe movement of pedestrians on site with minimal damage to natural features present on the site.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Dan.
And a
Hold
roll
on a
call,
second.
please.
Yeah,
Okay.
doing battle with my computer. Please hold a second.
No.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is 280-16-7.6, stormwater management. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that in conformance with the Maine Department of Environmental Protection permit, the location of forested stormwater treatment and resource protection buffers on individual lots shall be permanently marked on the ground prior to construction. The standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Dan.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is 280-16-710, utilities. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that adequate provisions shall be made for utilities.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Dan.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Then we get to jump all the way down to 280-16-7.18 buffering. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that boundaries where there are forested buffers be marked on the ground and located on the plans, the standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. We're down to subdivision. 275-10-31 pollution. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the proposed project will not create pollution.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Next one is 275-10-33, impact on existing water supply. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is the proposed subdivision does not exceed the capacity of pre-existing systems.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is 275-10-35, traffic conditions. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation, oh, wait a minute. I must have written this in the wrong place. Hold on just a moment while I pick that up and move it. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is the proposed subdivision will not generate traffic that would overwhelm the existing infrastructure.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Yes.
Jack? Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. We're getting down there, guys. 275-10-39, conformance with other regulations. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is the proposed subdivision meets all minimum dimensional requirements, performance standards, and all other applicable land use regulations outlined in Chapter 275 and 280. This standard is met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded,
Second.
Diane.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. I think we've only got two left, guys. Maybe not, but we're getting down there. 275-10-44, identification of freshwater wetlands. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that wetlands have been located on the plan.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. The next one is 275-10-45, stormwater management. The recommendation is that the standard has been met. The explanation is that adequate provisions have been made for stormwater management.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jace.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And that was 6-0. The motion passes. One left. 275-10-47, phosphorus impacts on Great Ponds. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is the proposal adheres to standards set by DEP.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Seconded, Diane.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. I think I've got them all.
Great.
Anybody see anything I missed? Okay, good.
Okay, so I know you just talked a lot, Beth, but if you don't mind, I would like to ask for you to read the draft motion, and then I'll ask the board if there's any revisions that anyone's suggesting.
Please note that I have done a little bit of editing on what you received in your packet. It is, I took out some redundant words here. So here's the draft motion. The planning board accepts the information in the October 2020 summary report. I'm going to add to that and the site plan review committee recommendation. And I'm sorry, give me just one moment while I do some formatting here. Grants the requested waivers and finds that the proposed minor subdivision, minor site plan, and shoreland zoning permit application file number R3-29C to create 5 lots for the purpose of building eco camps for personal use and part-time rental has satisfied the requirements of Article 6 of the subdivision ordinance, Section 280-16-7 and Chapter 270, subject to the following conditions. 1. By November 10th, 2020, unless other arrangements are made with the planning director, provide 5 copies of revised plans to the planning department that adequately respond to issues raised in the review, which are part of the following conditions of approval. A, that a note be added to the deed restrictions on the recorded subdivision plat to include the presence of the proposed forested buffers and proposed deed restrictions for them. B, that the boundaries where the forested buffers will be marked on the ground shall be located on the plan. C, that a note be added to the subdivision plan indicating the ordinance's restrictions on distances from the street to provide guidance for the possibility of a future lot adding their own water supply well. 2, that roads shall be maintained so that fire apparatus can move safely year-round, including maintaining unobstructed overhead height and providing house addresses at the end of each driveway to the satisfaction of the fire marshal. 3, in conformance with the main DEP permit, the location of forested stormwater treatment and resource protection buffers on individual lots shall be permanently marked on the ground prior to construction. 4, because a portion of the property is in the shoreland zone, any removal of vegetation shall be approved by the Code Enforcement Department prior to the removal. 5, all future development beyond what is currently proposed shall be approved by the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. 6, no construction of driveways and construction around the significant vernal pool shall occur between April 1st and June 30th. Hold on, I need to do an edit here, as recommended by the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. 7, in addition to any specific erosion control measures required by Maine Department of Environmental Protection, the applicant shall take all necessary actions to ensure that its activities or those of its agents do not result in noticeable erosion of soils or dust emissions during construction. 8, to provide an AutoCAD submission tied to the Maine State Coordinate System, which is acceptable to the Assistant City Engineer. 9, the applicant shall contact the Code Enforcement Office early in the project to arrange for a curb cut permit that by design will conform with required site distances to the satisfaction of the city engineer. 10, to procure a highway excavation permit from Public Works if construction will occur in the right-of-way. 11, to set up a pre-construction conference with the Code Enforcement Director and the Assistant City Engineer. 12, to work with the Assistant City Engineer to establish an amount for the required performance guarantee and provide 1 original and 2 hard copies of the performance guarantee to the Planning Department. And 13, this approval is dependent on and limited to the documents and plans contained in the application submitted and affirmed to by the applicant. No project plan or development previously approved by the planning board may be altered or modified without securing prior approval of the planning board in the form of an amendment, provided, however, that if at any time it becomes necessary or desirable to make modifications to the development, the planning director may approve minor modifications. Any changes to the approved plan shall be provided to the planning department prior to construction to evaluate whether an amendment of the approval is required. The applicant shall be aware that non-compliance with this condition may require modification of construction elements that are not consistent with the approval, may delay release of all or portions of a performance guarantee, and may result in delay in receipt of an occupancy permit or a stop work order.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jace.
Is there any discussion before we take a roll call vote? Okay, we'll go ahead with our roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Unanimous, 6-0. Great. So, Madam Chair, if I could just do a little bit of logistics for a minute.
Please.
This is a subdivision and therefore does require signature of at least a majority of the board, which would mean at least 4 people would have to sign this. What I had suggested to the applicant is that after they have complied with the requirement to address a number of these conditions related to revised plans or documents, they will then bring in 2 paper copies, not folded, to the planning department, and then we will send an email out to the planning board to let the board members know that the document is there, ready for their signature. We do have to have Jennifer's on there as the top one, and then once we get to 3 additional signatures, we'll be able to release it back to the applicant for recording at the Registry of Deeds, after which they will have to provide the copies, requisite copies with the book and page number where it's recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And if you don't do any of that, then you jeopardize your subdivision approval. That help?
Is the applicant still with us?
Good to go.
Okay, great. Okay. Anything else before we move on to our next agenda item?
Madam Chair?
We need to vote.
Yes. Go ahead, Diane.
Yes, can I please be excused from the next applicant, please, based on bias? Thank you.
Did we do a roll call on the last one?
I believe we did a roll call vote and adopted the motion that Beth read to us, so that project is approved.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. Have a great night. Okay, next item on our agenda, new business file 21-20-S, Spencer Hill Estates, care of Dana Libby of Corner Post Land Surveying. Before I ask the applicant to speak, Beth, would you mind giving us a brief orientation of the project?
Sure. And while I'm doing that, they may want to put the image up on the screen to just save a little time. So Adam Blakey and Son, and that would be Dana, if you can post that. Adam Blakey and Son and Associates LLC is requesting major final subdivision approval for a 10-lot subdivision. You've seen this project a number of times. The purpose of the subdivision, or the intent at this point in time, is to construct 9 single-family homes to be served by public water and sewer. It most of the homes go down Spencer Hill Road. I believe that one of them actually may have, two of them have frontage on Jagger Mill Road. The Site Plan Review Committee did review this project yesterday at its meeting, and they did make a recommendation for approval with a number of conditions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. So I will go ahead and ask the applicant if you would mind, please just saying your name and address before you begin, and you have up to 20 minutes to make a presentation and provide an overview of your project.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dana Libby from Corner Post Land Surveying, 600 Main Street, Springvale, representing Adam Blakey, who is proposing a 10-lot subdivision with 9 residential homes. 8 of the homes will front Spencer Hill Road, with 1 fronting on Jagger Mill Road. All these lots will utilize public water, sewer, and as well as overhead utilities. All the drainage will be collected along a new drainage structures to be constructed along Spencer Hill Road. Collect the water and run through level up spreaders behind the houses into wooded buffers. One concern Matt Hill had from the engineering has been addressed. He was concerned that there was going to be some blockage of the drainage in front of the driveways. So the engineer has created some turnouts in front of the driveways to collect the water coming down off Spencer Hill, so that it runs through the collection system and through the level spreaders. The subdivision will also have an area of open space that's designated out back for gardening and play area. The entire drainage area is also to be utilized as open space. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You guys have seen this quite a bit, so I'm willing to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. So before I open it up to the board for questions, I am going to open the public hearing on this project and ask if there is anybody who would like to speak in favor of the project, and reminding folks, please use your raise hand feature if needed. I am not seeing anybody raising their hand. I'm not hearing anyone in the background. So I will ask next if there is anybody who is opposed to the project who would like to speak this evening. Again, I'm not seeing anybody raising their hands, I'm not hearing anyone on the line. So I'll next ask if there is anybody who's neither for nor against the project, but who may wish to make a comment. Okay, I'm still not seeing anybody. So I will declare the public hearing portion closed, and then open it up to the board for discussion and questions for the applicant. Is there any discussion this evening?
This is Tom. I'm all set.
Thank you, Tom. So I'm not hearing anything. Does that mean the board is ready to move to findings of fact for this particular project?
Yeah, this is Lenny. I'm all set.
This is Jace. I'm ready to move forward.
Jack, me too.
All right, let's go for it, Beth. We'll start with the findings of fact.
Sorry, this is
There's
Matt
a hand
Hill.
up.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to. Hi,
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
This is Matt Hill, city engineer.
Oh, hey, Matt, thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to clarify Dana's comment about the resolution of the drainage out front and a clarification that Mark Patterson sought from me from email. Just the area between Spencer Hill Road and the ditch is Just there's a note on sheet 2.2 that just, unstable areas that need to be stabilized in order to maintain that drainage system adequately. And that's really all it boils down to. And that's what the note says. That's it.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, Beth, it sounds like the board's ready to move to findings of fact.
Okay, the only ones I have for combinations are the not applicables. I'm sorry, but I think that'll take care of a number of them. 275-10-42, impact on groundwater quality or quantity. The recommendation is that the standard is not applicable. The explanation is that the project is not located in a groundwater protection area and is served by public water. 275-10-43, floodplain management. The recommendation is that the standard is not applicable because the project is not located in a floodplain. 275-10-47, phosphorus impacts on great ponds. The recommendation is that the standard is not applicable because the applicant is not proposing any, this is actually not the right explanation. Let me, the applicant has provided adequate, has provided adequate controls for water quality. That'll be the explanation. Hold on, I just need to get that in there. 275-10-48, spaghetti lot. The recommendation is the standard is not applicable as the lot is not determined to include any spaghetti lot. That may be the last. Nope, so you have another one, 280-16-7.12, groundwater protection. The recommendation is that the standard is not applicable. The explanation is the project is not located in a groundwater protection area and is served by public water. 280-16-713, exterior lighting. The recommendation is that the standard is not applicable because there is no exterior lighting proposed. 280-16-7.16, shoreland. And I'm going to actually change this one. So let me take this out of the queue, and I'm going to actually provide some modified language here. Give me just a moment while I kind of prepare it. Okay, the next one is 280-16-719, airport encroachment. The recommendation is the standard is not applicable, and the explanation is that the project is not within the airport zone.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second,
I'll
Jace.
second. This is. And a roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. All of these are going to include one abstention. Let me just make a note of that. Okay, now we got to go back to the top, guys. Sorry about this. 275-10-31, pollution. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is the proposed project will not create pollution.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jace.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with one abstention. 275-10-32, sufficient water. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the contractor strictly adhere to grades and elevations as detailed on plans at sensitive crossing points of sewer and water lines, the standard will be met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jace.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with one abstention. 275-10-39, conformance with other regulations. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the proposed subdivision meets all minimum dimensional requirements, performance standards, and other applicable land use regulations outlined in Chapter 275 and 280.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 275-10-40, financial and technical capacity. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the applicant has demonstrated financial and technical capacity to complete the proposed subdivision.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with one abstention. We get to skip a couple here. 275-10-44, identification of freshwater wetlands. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is the proposed subdivision identifies wetlands on the plan.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. Next one is 275-10-45, stormwater management. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that by proposing best management practices to be used for stormwater treatment on the site in order to mitigate existing allowable 35% impervious cover in the Mausam River watershed overlay, this standard will be met.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call?
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 275-10-46, recreation and open space areas. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the proposed subdivision conforms to open space standards.
Motion to accept.
Second,
Tom.
Jack.
Roll call?
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. We are now in the site plan standards. 280-16-7, point 1, utilization of the site. Recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is that drainage will be maintained, preserved, and improved.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call?
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.2, access to the site. Recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that any capital improvement program repairs to the roadway should follow replacement of the shallow water main running under the edge of the pavement on Spencer Hill Road adjacent to the proposed development, the standard is met.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call?
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.3, access into the site. Recommendation is, excuse me, that the standard has been met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that homeowners association documents specify provisions for major maintenance responsibilities to be executed by the homeowners association, the standard is met.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call?
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.4, internal vehicular circulation. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that shall provide for safe movement throughout the site and will provide clear routes for emergency vehicles with minimum damage to natural features present on the site.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call?
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
The next one is 280-16-7.5, pedestrian circulation. Recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that it shall provide for safe movement of pedestrians on site with minimal damage to natural features present on the site.
Motion to accept. Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call?
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.6, stormwater management. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. Explanation is with the condition that the applicant adequately address existing stormwater received from Spencer Hill Road, the standard is met.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Give me just a second, please. Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes. Oh, wait. What have I just done? Hold on just a second. I've lost my cursor. Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. The next one is 280-16-7.7. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. Hold on just a second. I have to. The explanation is that with the condition that the applicant loam seeds, and mulches. Hold on, I'm running into trouble with my viewing screen. Hold on. Mulches disturbed areas between. Hold on, just give me 1 second. I have to fix this formatting issue I'm having. I'm fighting with the computer a little bit. Hold on, just a second. Let me find this, and I can read it to you again. I have to find it. With the condition that the applicant loam seeds and mulches disturbed areas between the roadway and the drainage ditches until soils are stabilized, erosion control measures used on this site will be adequate.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Yes.
Jack, Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. 280-16-7.8, water supply. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is that with the condition that the contractor strictly adhere to grades and elevations as detailed on plans at sensitive crossing points of sewer and water lines, this standard will be met.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.9, sewage disposal. The recommendation is that the standard is met with condition. The explanation is the same as it was for the water supply. With the condition that the contractor strictly adhere to grades and elevations as detailed on plans at sensitive crossing points of sewer and water lines, this standard will be met.
Motion to accept, Tom.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer. 280 motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.10, utilities. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that adequate provisions shall be made for utilities.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.11, natural features. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that wetlands on site shall be maintained.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. We get to skip a couple of them. 280-16-7.14, solid waste disposal. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that adequate provision shall be made for solid waste disposal.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.15, landscaping. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that trees to be planted on lots shall be maintained by individual landowners.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.16, shoreland relationship. The recommendation is that the standard is met, and the explanation is we need to change this. Give me just 1 second, please. I'm almost there. Where on earth is this? Here we go. Got it. That's not the right one. Hold on just a moment. I'm trying to get the correct wording. I'm just going to have to punt, guys. I can't put my hands on it. The explanation is the project does not propose development within the shoreline zone, but that's fine. Go with that one, guys.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. Two more, guys. 280-16-7.17, technical and financial capacity. Recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is applicant has demonstrated financial and technical capacity.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. 280-16-7.18, buffering. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that forested buffers on site shall be maintained.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call, please.
Jace,
Yes.
Lenny,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention.
Beth, this is Dana. I think you skipped over 275, 10, 40, 41.
Hold on just a second, let me find it. 275, 10, 41.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for following that, Dana.
Also 47.
Okay, so hold on just a second. Okay, so 41, hold that thought and remind me again when I'm done with this. Standard is impact on water quality and shoreline. The recommendation is that the standard is met. The explanation is that the proposed subdivision will not impact the sedimentation of water bodies.
Motion to accept.
Second, Jack.
Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. And you said we missed 47. I thought that was in the not applicable category, and that
I may be confused. I thought you were going to go back and change some wording, but I could be mistaken.
yeah, I think we're all confused at this point, Tom. But I think we've covered everything. If anybody thinks that we've missed any, please step up.
Just one correction, Beth, on the
Yep.
airport encroachment, 280.16.7.19. You have it
Yep.
not applicable. The subdivision is
Yep.
within the subdivision is within the airport zone, and we supplied a letter.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you very much. So I'm going to ask for a reconsideration of 280-16-7.19.
Approved.
Now, we've got to change this one, so I'm just asking, we've got to go back and do the vote again. So I'm just asking somebody.
Make a motion to reconsider.
Second. Jace.
Okay, and then we'll need to do a roll call vote on that. Jake?
Sorry, yes, roll call.
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Jennifer?
Yes.
And, all right. So the motion to reconsider passes. If I could just have a moment, I will fix the wording here. The standard would be recommendation for airport encroachment would be that the standard has been met and indicate the project does not create issues related to airport encroachment. How about that? Can we use that?
Motion to accept.
Woo. Uh-oh. Who made the motion, Jennifer?
I heard Jack. I know there's someone behind, but I heard Jack. Roll call, please.
Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0, one abstention. Dana, any other mistakes?
No, that's all I saw.
Okay, good. Anybody from the board have any issues, or shall we set this aside?
I don't think we have any issues.
I have no issues.
Yeah,
Okay.
Should we read the draft motion at this point?
Sure, and there are some modifications from what you have in writing there, so please bear with me just for a moment. The motion is that the draft motion is that the planning board accepts the information in the October 2020 summary report and site plan review committee. Hold on, I have to get this. No, it's not going to work. Hold on, I'm sorry. And site plan review committee recommends grants the requested waivers and finds that the proposed final subdivision application file number 21-20-F to create a 10-lot subdivision for the purpose of constructing 9 single-family homes. Hold on, I gotta edit that as well. Give me just 1 minute here, guys. has satisfied the requirements of Article 6 of the subdivision ordinance subject, and I'm going to say subdivision ordinance and 275, sorry, let me straighten that out, excuse me, and 280-16-7, subject to the following conditions. 1, by November 10, 2020, unless other arrangements are made with the planning director, provide 5 copies of revised plans to the planning department that adequately respond to issues raised in the review, which are part of the following conditions of approval. A, that the applicant adequately address existing stormwater received from Spencer Hill Road by grading the slope from the edge of pavement to the proposed constructed ditch bottom, or otherwise provide opportunities for stormwater from Spencer Hill Road to drain into the adjacent proposed stormwater collection system for treatment to the satisfaction of the city engineer. In addition, the applicant will add a note to sheet C2.2 to indicate that all disturbed areas between the roadway and ditch will be loam, seeded, and mulched in order to stabilize soils using the relevant design detail on the sheet. B, that any capital improvement program repairs to the roadway should follow replacement of the shallow water main running under the edge of pavement on Spencer Hill Road adjacent to the proposed development. C, that homeowner association documents specify provisions for major maintenance responsibilities to be executed by the homeowners association. 2, that contractors strictly adhere to grades and elevations detailed on plans at sensitive crossing points of sewer and water lines to the satisfaction of the city engineer. 3, to provide an AutoCAD submission for the subdivision plat and the engineering plan tied to the main state coordinate system, which is acceptable to the city engineer. 4, to set up a pre-construction conference with the code enforcement director and the city engineer. 5, to work with the city engineer to establish the amount of a performance guarantee as required in the subdivision ordinance to the satisfaction of the city engineer, and provide 1 original and 2 copies of the guarantee to the planning department. 6, if installation of approved landscaping is not completed by September 15, 2021, the end of the growing season, the applicant shall be required to provide a performance guarantee in an amount to cover the cost of the landscape material and its installation. The guarantee shall be required to stay in force for 1 full growing season after installation. 7, this approval is dependent on and limited to the documents and plans contained in the application submitted and affirmed to by the applicant. No project plan or development previously approved by the planning board may be altered or modified without securing prior approval of the planning board in the form of an amendment, provided, however, that if at any time it becomes necessary or desirable to make modifications to the development, the planning director may approve minor modifications. Any changes to the approved plan shall be provided to the planning department prior to construction to evaluate whether an amendment of the approval is required. The applicant shall be aware that non-compliance with this condition may require modification of construction elements that are not consistent with the approval, may delay release of all or portion of a performance guarantee, and may result in delay in receipt of an occupancy permit or a stop work order. And that is it.
Motion to accept is written.
Second, check.
And a roll call, please.
Hold on, I've got to get a note down here. Jace?
Yes.
Lenny?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yep.
Motion passes 5-0 with 1 abstention. Mark and Dana, you probably heard my explanation to the Littlefield Retreat folks. Once you've completed whatever revised materials, make sure you bring in 2 clean, unfolded copies of the plat for signature, and we will get the planning board signature as soon as we have Jennifer's and at least 3 other members. Will then notify you that the material is available for you to pick up for recording at the registry, and then a return with book and page numbers to us once you've got it recorded.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
All righty.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, we will move to new business file 18-20-S, Coastal Oaks LLC, care of Ethan Scott. And before I ask the applicant to present his project, Beth, would you mind giving us the please an overview?
Sure. This is a very small subdivision that the applicant is proposing because of the purchase of an existing, a portion of an existing parcel, and the proposal to do 2 condominium units on top of an existing foundation. Unfortunately, this triggers subdivision review, and along with subdivision review come a whole bunch of requirements that need to be attended to. I'm sorry, I'm looking for a file. So at the site plan review committee meeting yesterday, there was some statements made, by staff, and I would say primarily coming out of the Public Works Department and then echoed by the Planning Department as well, that of the 29 requested waivers, the recommendation was that 8 of them should not be granted because they, and these are waivers associated with submission requirements, because the information associated with those submission requirements is necessary for staff to be able to complete its review and make a recommendation to you. So the site plan review committee voted to table this item until information was provided that would allow them to complete their review and make a recommendation to the planning board. So under the ordinances, you may not take action on this application this evening. You have to have a recommendation from site plan review committee. The one thing that I would recommend 2 things. First, that there have been notifications of abutters, and I believe that at least 1 or 2 of them are here this evening and would like to speak to this project at, in the public hearing that has been scheduled. I would suggest that you conduct the public hearing, find out if there are any questions raised by the applicants, and then to see if you can get answers for those abutters who are raising questions. And then I would recommend that you do discuss this issue about the 8 waivers that staff are recommending that you not grant, because I think you need to provide some clarity to the applicant, either that you say, yes, I think we're okay with that waiver, or no, we think you need to provide that information. And then I would recommend that you keep the public hearing open and continue it to the meeting when you will take this item up again. Hopefully it'll be at the next meeting, but it's possible it could, take a bit longer than that. And then to table the item. Then when you get to that meeting, you can take it off the table, reopen the public hearing, present any modifications in the plan, so that the abutters who are interested in this project have a chance to see how it's changed, if it's changed. And then if they have additional questions or comments, they can provide those to you at that time, prior to you closing the hearing at that point in time, and then continuing with your review of the application.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And we have the applicant here this evening, correct? And be able to speak to it prior to. Okay. Perfect.
Yep. Ethan Scott is here.
I'm
Okay,
here.
great.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Thank you. If you wouldn't mind just please stating your address as well, please, before you begin.
My address?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I'm Ethan Scott. I represent Coastal Oaks LLC. I'm an owner in the company, and my address is 198 Saco Avenue, Old Orchard, 4064. A little bit about this project. If everyone can see my cursor here, can everybody see the plans?
Yes, I see your screen. Mm-hmm.
This is Main Street in Springvale. This is an existing foundation in the ground on an existing lot, K18-8A. The dark gray line around the lot represents its existing boundaries, except for the 2019 lot division where it was subdivided. What we're looking to do is to subdivide this lot again, which triggers the approval with this dash line here. It has frontage on Main Street, and so does the existing lot K18-A, and we don't want to give up the existing lot's rights to Main Street as well. So we propose to divide this 20-foot strip in half and both equally maintain it. Our goal is to essentially build a duplex on this existing foundation, 2 different units, 2 stories tall, 2 to 3 bedrooms per unit. It would be serviced by both public sewer and water and electrical heating system. CMP has been notified, and they've suggested a few different ways to run power to the site, and it would likely come off the back. They have a power line here where my cursor is, and it would connect directly to the foundation without any additional power lines being, posts being installed, poles being installed. This is just a quick overview of the plans and what it could look like on the exterior. As far as sewer and water, we've been speaking with them, and the goal right now is to connect the water supply directly to Main Street with its own shutoff, and then the sewer line to connect to the existing line towards Witham Street, which services the existing lot K18-8A with a clean out in case of a clog. And I think the sewer company has also suggested that we put a manhole in. So we're working with them on the best options. I'll probably leave this screen up. That's it for me.
Is everybody still there?
Did we lose Jennifer?
Jennifer, are you there?
Oh, so I was talking this whole time. So I thought I opened the public hearing. Did anybody hear that portion, or they?
Nope.
Nope, we didn't hear it.
So with that, I will open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone who is in favor of the project who would like to speak this evening. Please use your raise hand feature, or if you're unmuted, feel free to speak up. I am not seeing or hearing anyone out there, so I will now ask if there's anyone who is opposed to the project who would like to speak this evening. Please use your raise hand, or if you're unmuted, feel free to speak up.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. If you would mind, please stating your name and address for the record.
Hi, this is Ed Suzanne, 560 Main, which is the Yankee Cutter building. I don't see this as being anything that's going to be helpful to the small business at all. For safety purposes alone, I can see that there's going to be problems spatially, especially that her clientele is a little bit older. Many of them are elderly, and they go in there and she's a great clientele. But to get in and out of there is going to become a heck of a chore. And I don't know what the plan is going to be as far as if they're planning on what the plan is for the businesses when they decide to cut the street up or cut that right of way up. So just wanted to bring that up. I've got some snow removal problems there too. When we get some good winters, it gets pretty banked up back in the back. There's also the water tends to pool at the back of the property at 560, and I can't see that being helpful at all either. what else do I have? And I don't know for fact, but I was told by the original owner that there's a possible aquifer under there. And that's beyond me. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm against it because it's going to affect my business. It's going to affect Yankee Cutter's business. We've got a new neighbor going in there, and I don't know how that's going to work for them either. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in and let you all digest that and see what you think.
Hey, so this is Ethan Scott again, the applicant. I'd just like to speak to a couple of those points, if that's all right with them.
Ethan, you need to wait until you're recognized by the chair.
Okay, I understand.
Thank you.
Yeah, should we, Beth, protocol question, is it more appropriate that he answer before we wrap things up with the hearing?
I think that probably what you want to do is make sure that Mr. Sadek has all of his questions or comments on the table, and then you'll continue with the rest of the public hearing. You'll ask Ethan to keep notes and then give him an opportunity to respond when everybody has had an opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So if you don't mind, Ethan,
Sure.
do you have all those the questions, or I believe the member of the public's name was Ed, if I'm not mistaken?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Do
correct.
you need Ed to repeat any of his questions?
Nope.
Okay, because I'm just going to now ask then if there's anyone who is neither for nor against who would like to speak, and then we'll go ahead and let you answer. If there's anyone who's neither for nor against, please go ahead, use the raise your hand feature, or if you are not muted, go ahead and speak up. Okay, so why don't we circle back around then, and Ethan, I'll let you address Ed's concerns and questions.
Hey, Ed. So I just wanted to, maybe I wasn't, I don't think I did clear enough in the explanation. I didn't properly describe what our plan was to access the lot. The only change that we would be making on this strip that abuts the Yankee, is it Yankee?
Cutter. Yeah.
Yep. We would just be installing a water line here to access the lot. We actually don't intend to use this as access to the lot with vehicular traffic or snow removal, anything like that. So up here on the Sherwin-Williams parking lot is a 20-foot right-of-way for the access to this K18-8A. And both Duck, who owns this property, and Joe, who owns this property, use this right-of-way to access their properties and their driveways. We intend to do the same. Right around where I have this 80-foot dimension here is where we intend to put the driveway, and access will remain from the Sherwin-Williams parking lot. So the only change that will be made to this easement, this 20-foot strip, is just to install the water line there, and then it will be repaved. We'd like to do that concurrently with the renovation to Gentle Dental, but again, there's a lot of things that need to happen before then. And then around the property itself, we don't plan to make any changes to negatively impact the trail system. I spoke with, I think his name is Lee. If we have to impact it temporarily to run utilities, we'll definitely be notified, but no permanent changes will be made to the trail, and it will be continued to be able to be used by them. So there will be no changes outside of the foundation, outside of utilities that need to be run.
That put my mind at ease as far as that goes, Ethan. I appreciate that explanation. I get it now. Now I understand what you're going to do. So you're going to cut a swath down the center, and you're going to run the utilities, and then you're going to repave it.
Yes, if they approve that, if that's what's
right.
That's what the water company, if that's their best plan of action. But we don't plan to make any changes to that, or even where there's this 134-foot dimension, we don't plan to impact any of this area.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the explanation.
No problem at all.
Okay. So before we, yeah, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I know that there is an additional member of the community in the audience who we have had some conversation around this project, and I just want to confirm that he, in fact, does not want to speak up during the public hearing, and that's Mr. Kitco.
Mr. Kitco still out there?
Yes.
Yep.
No, we don't have any issues right now.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess before we go ahead and table this item to the next meeting, there is the open question regarding the 8 waivers that are needed to complete the review based on the Site Plan Review Committee's last meeting. So I guess my question to the board would be, does the board want to accept the recommendation for not approving the 8 waivers so we can provide that direction?
Would you like me to go over those with the board, Madam Chair?
That would probably be helpful. Thank you, Beth.
Okay. These were in writing. These are detailed in writing in a supplement to the summary report that was in your packet. But here's just a general listing. 275-18-C6, documentation of easements. 275-18-C8, a standard boundary survey. 275-18-C9, natural features. 275-18-C13, contour lines. Oftentimes we accept spot elevation as the site is particularly flat, and that usually just gets worked out directly with the city engineer. 275-18-C14, existing sewer and water lines. 275-18-C19, open space. And in essence, what that is referring to is to provide some sense of where the actual trail, snowmobile trail is on the site. 275-18-D5, stormwater management plan. And 275-18-D6, erosion control. That's 8 of them. And just for this is a recommendation about 8 of the 29 waivers that are requested. Staff did not have an issue with the other 21 waiver requests. Those are fine. But these 8, the feeling was that it's necessary in order to complete the review.
This is Danny. I would recommend keeping those waivers.
You mean keeping them or not granting them?
I mean, not granting them, sorry.
Should we take a formal vote, Beth? Would that be helpful?
If you're going to do a formal vote, Lenny will need to make a motion, and there should be a second.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go along with the planning department's recommendation to not grant the waivers. That was your recommendation, right? To not grant the waivers.
Correct. Correct. For just those 8. The other 21 are fine.
Right, just the 8. So that would be my motion.
I'll second it, Tom.
Oh. All right, we do a roll call, please.
Okay. Dave?
Yes.
Diane?
I have a question before I vote, if I could, please.
Yep. Madam Chair, shall I stop the voting at this point?
Yes, let's stop the voting.
Madam Chair, I have a question in regards to this. May I go ahead?
Mm-hmm. Please.
Without naming names, I've heard that there was some type of a stream crossing that was in this area years ago, and it was ignored. I'd like to find out more about it. Maybe Matt Hill or Mike Cashley might know about it.
And this is sorry, my brain's a little fried right now, but this is directly relevant to the 8 waivers that we're discussing at the moment, correct?
True, but I'm just wondering what I can't seem to get up the waiver list in the packet. If someone can direct me, if Beth can direct me exactly which number it is.
Yeah, actually, I don't think that what we're talking about in terms of the 8 waivers would resolve your question one way or the other, Diane. I think that probably the best way forward, unless Mike or Matt happen to know the answer to that question right off the top of their head, I suspect that they would probably like a little time to do some research on that, and we can make a point of bringing that information back to you when the project comes back to you for a review.
Okay, I'm good with that. My vote is yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we're back into voting. Okay, Lenny.
Yes.
Okay, Jack. Thank you, Jack. Tom. Tom?
Yes.
Okay, and Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes 6-0. Ethan, you're going to need to provide the information in those 8 categories. If you've got any question about what we're looking for, then just please contact the planning department tomorrow and we can talk with you about that. And we will forward a request to Mike or Matt to see if they can look into that issue. And we'll make sure we bring that information back to you.
Do I need a motion to table this?
Don't make it until you're done any kind of discussions or questions you want to have before you table it, because once you have a motion to table, there's no discussion of a tabling motion.
Anything else before we do?
Okay.
Motion to table, Jace.
So,
Second, Tom.
then a roll call, please.
Okay. Jace.
Yes.
Diane.
Yes.
Lenny.
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is tabled, unanimous, 6-0.
Okay, so that brings us to old business file 16-20-R, Midtown Mall, care of Ian Houseel. And Beth, I don't know, I know this one item was tabled at our last meeting. I believe it's going to stay on the table, but if there's anything that you, any updates on this that you could provide us, please?
I did speak with Ian about this yesterday, and he's anticipating that we should have some revised plans in hand relatively soon. Given the fact that we haven't seen them yet, I suspect we're probably looking at this going to the second meeting in November.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I believe that brings us through all of our hearings and business, and brings us down to the planning director's report.
And I'm going to, it's late, everybody is tired, and I am going to pass on this unless anybody has any specific questions for me.
Okay, doesn't sound like it. So that brings us to our communications section. I'll ask if there are any items that anyone would like to raise for communications. I'm not hearing any. I do have a communication item that I would like to share. I will be stepping down as chair of the board, and that will be effective after the 2nd November meeting. So I will be here for 2 more meetings. And I have asked Lenny as the vice chair to step in and chair the meeting for
2.5 hours.
for the remainder of my term, which would be through December. So I don't know if there's anything more I need to say about that, Beth, or Lenny for that matter. All right. Is there anything else for communications?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I do actually have one thing. Watch out for these emails, guys. We just had another round of emails that were hacked from Matt Hill. One was hacked earlier last week from Molly. I am encouraging you guys to consider doing the self-training on malware. I sent you the link a couple of months back on that. It is like 12 modules. They each take just a short period of time. I think I did the whole thing in about an hour and a half. It greatly enhanced my ability to recognize, or at least to be suspicious about some of these items. A couple of things you can do is, if it's a zip file, I just dump them immediately. If you see that there is a file attachment or that there is an email address associated with somebody, just put your cursor don't click on it, but put your cursor over it and it'll expose the underlying detail. And you can see that even though it says it's coming from, say, Matt Hill or from Molly Kirchhoff, that the email address is not the right one. So I know I dumped like 4 messages before the email came in from Bill Botting about this. If you've got any questions, you can always call planning or Bill or Ben in IT and just ask them point blank. They generally are aware of this stuff, because if you're getting it, more people are getting it than just you. IT is taking some significant steps. We've pulled our email addresses off of various locations on the website. We've set up another way for people to be able to reach us. They click on a button and send us a secure message, but it comes into our boxes, but there's no direct response. We have to actually pick it up and then respond specifically to that person. But anyway, just keep your eyes out, because apparently the last couple of weeks in particular, it's become quite intense. And I have a feeling that the email that Bill sent out late this afternoon may have gone to each of you. But one of the board members called me last week around the Molly email, and I had already dumped that one myself, so I was able to suggest you should do it. Just realize that if you are dumping something that you shouldn't be dumping, is going to become apparent within a relatively short period of time, and any of us will be happy to resend something out to you that was legitimate.
Beth, may I speak?
Madam Chair? Say Diane speak.
Diane.
Yes. The first email that I received actually came from Kate, and then it duplicated from there, coming in from Molly and everyone else.
Yep. Yeah, it is a little bit unnerving, I know. Every time I delete one of them, I have to pull my hand, make it press the button, because the other hand is telling me I shouldn't. But what if it's important?
Okay. So I think that is it for the formal meeting this evening. So I will motion to adjourn. I don't know if there is appetite with the group for the work session.
We don't have an awful lot of time if we're going to end by 9 o'clock. So probably.
I didn't even see the time. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second to the motion to adjourn?
Second it.
Whoa.
Third.
Who made the motion, Jennifer? You have to make the call.
Oh God, I don't even know now. I don't remember whose voice I heard. I just heard second by a bunch of people.
Motion to adjourn.
Give it to Jack.
Diane, okay, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
So, we normally don't do roll call for the adjournment. We just ask if anybody objects. And then if nobody objects, we record it as a unanimous vote.
Does anybody object? Okay. Unanimous it is.